She said that we had to be brave and run to Mom's room because there was a monster looking at her from beneath my bed. That I was just previously laying in. I turned away from her and looked into the dark void that was beneath my bed, and I don't know, I felt it too. There was a monster under the bed. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it watching us. I think we got it to 10 quietly and ran to my mom's room to tell her about the monster. As we stood in the mouth of our mother's doorway crying and hyperventilating, a man ran by our mother's room, slammed the door, and escaped out the back door of the kitchen. A man had broken in while we were away and hidden under the bed. I don't think about this often, but sometimes I wonder what would have happened if my sister never sensed him. Also, sorry if I read stuff wrong. This is my first time reading them, and I might be a little too tired to be reading. The next one. My mom had a nightmare at 3 a.m. that turned out to be real. I had a conversation with my mom last night, and she randomly told me about something that happened when we lived in this old house years ago. I thought I'd share it here. This was back when I was in elementary school. I don't remember why we had to move out, but I was really upset about leaving my friends behind. A family we knew let us stay temporarily in their old house while my parents looked for a more permanent place. They warned us it was an old and a bit worn out, but livable. The moment we got there, something felt off. I got goosebumps immediately, and my youngest sibling refused to even step inside. She stood there crying. The atmosphere felt heavy. This house had 2 rooms and an attic. I used to go up there and found a bunch of old makeup and documents. On the first night, my sister kept tossing and turning and eventually moved to the other side of the bed. The next morning she told me and made me promise to not tell her mom that she saw a little girl sitting on the top of the closet just staring at us. We ended up fighting because I thought she was just trying to scare me, but after that neither of us wanted to sleep on the side of the bed anymore. A lot of weird things happened during our stay, but this one stuck out to me the most. My dad is a painter, and at the time he was out of town for a few days. One night, my mom had a nightmare. In her dream, she saw a man sitting in the living room with a little girl beside him. They were both staring at her, mouthing something she couldn't understand. Then suddenly, she saw my dad behind her, grabbing her shoulders and telling her to wake up because my sister had a fever. He also said it was 3 a.m. and that there were 2 men outside trying to break in. My mom woke up immediately and checked the time. It was exactly 3 a.m. My sister, who was sleeping next to her, was burning up with a fever. My mom rushed to the living room and turned on the outside lights. Right after that, she heard a loud thud on the door, followed by footsteps running away. I asked her if she was just trying to scare me, but she insisted it really happened. She also told me something I didn't know before. The owners of that house used to run a funeral home business. My sister even joked that the makeup we were messing with back then was probably used for that. Yeah, I barely slept after she told me that. Okay, next one. I'm also noticing fast as I could to my brothers. I told them what had happened. My brothers tried to chase the lady, but she was gone. My parents told me that the lady had been trying to kidnap me. They asked if I remembered her face. I told her she was wearing a face mask, sunglasses, had blonde hair, and gold earrings. I just realized that lady was trying to kidnap me, so guys, be aware and watch your kids and siblings when you go out. Okay. This one's titled "The Guy Kept Following Us." So, like 2 weeks ago, me and my two other friends were hanging out in the mall. The mall was pretty crowded, so we really kept looking around for each other. Now, around 30 minutes later, I started noticing something. A guy, around his early 20s or maybe late, was discreetly following us. My other friends did not notice, but I sure did. He was doing it in a way that he thought no one would notice, but I somehow did. He kept a distance when following, but he really did end up at every shop we went to. In one of the bookshops, I actually looked at him and he pretended as if he was reading a book. It was genuinely creeping me out. I didn't tell my friends yet because I thought he was following us. Because I thought he wasn't following and I just assumed it, but he sure damn was. And now came the weirdest part. We were waiting outside the elevator, and that same guy was standing a bit away. At this moment, I knew it was getting too much, and I told my friends. And as soon as the elevator opened, we quickly walked in, and that guy was literally stomping our way. But thank God, the elevator door closed in time, and we went to the parking for our car and left. Genuinely the most scary thing I've ever encountered. I was actually so scared, and the guy's face was SOS creepy. Don't know what was up with him, but I'm so happy we left before God knows what could have happened. Yeah, it's funny to be a woman in public. A lot of these are most likely going to be stories like this, like more realistic and not like creepy, scary stories. I might look up some other Reddit page with like more creepy stories. But yeah. Should I also like say the names of the writers? The one that wrote that one is, the username is financial_Dorian4608. The one before that was ZHU_ZZZ. And the one before that was Federal Chemical 7736. I don't even know if like Reddit usernames. Yeah, I don't know. What? Okay, this one caught my interest just because of the title. Should clothes be burnt if you are found without a head? If you are seen without a head, do you have to burn your clothes? My answer is no. This is the second time I have been seen without a head. The first time was over a decade ago, and today is the second. I was surprised because my colleague was very surprised when he looked at me. Then he said I had no head. Suddenly, my memory of the first time I was seen without a head came back to me. It was midnight. We came from the North Gate cyber zone because my troops accompanied me to sign a job offer at a BPO company. My troop medium had already told me that he did not want the entities inside the building I was going to enter, so they just stayed at Tensio's to have a drink. When I left the building, I went straight to them to bond. We drank a little, then they invited me to sleep over stopped and patted my thigh while saying, "Miss, be careful." I was surprised and annoyed. I don't know why I asked out of the blue, "Don't I have a head?" I don't know why that question suddenly popped into my mind. It was just creepy. The guy said, "Just miss. Be careful." Then he quickly took off. Then he quickly got off. As soon as he got off, 3 friends got on. My chest was pounding even more. I felt like something bad was going to happen. After he got off, the driver asked irritably, "Where are you getting off?" And he looked at me. It was surprising because we had already paid our fare. Then I was even more surprised when my 2 friends pinched my ears and said that we had to get off. The 3 people who got on with us also had different looks. We stopped at a strange place. Luckily, a taxi arrived, and that's when they told me that I was crazy. What's worse, the driver was crazy too. We didn't go to their pad for the time being. We had breakfast at the bar, but we were at the bar. Trouble was still following me. But while we were at the bar, the trouble was still following me. All the way to the CR. Jesus. There were some thieves following me. By the grace of God, I was still alive for a long time. Not sure though what kind of sign. Was that incident earlier like I did before? I didn't go home. We went for a walk at the mall first. Hopefully nothing bad happened. Hopefully nothing bad will happen. It's not true that the clothes were burned. I didn't change my clothes the first time I was seen without a head. This is not an invented story. This is my true experience. If you're my friend, please pray that I live longer. Though, that was a bit strange. But okay. That was written by Mad World. 0131. Okay, next one. This is gonna be last one I read from this, and I'm gonna try to find another Reddit page. Anyway, me and my brother saw something in Washington. We live in Utah. We were on a trip to Seattle to visit some relatives. This happened a couple of years ago. I think we were 17 and 14 at the time. We were staying in a relative's house. However, there wasn't enough bedrooms, so me and my brother slept in the car with our dog. It was extremely uncomfortable, so we had a hard time getting to sleep. Our dog fell asleep just fine though. The car started getting hot, so we opened some of the doors. Then suddenly, at about 10:30, our dog woke up and started whining. Confused, my brother tried to comfort him. My brother tried to comfort him when I heard something coming from outside the car that sounded like something snapping. And then I saw something that looked like a white, skinny bear rummaging through the bushes. It turned and looked at us. I slammed the doors and locked them, but when we looked back, it was gone. About an hour later, we heard something on walking on top of the car. Probably a typo. We heard something walking on top of the car that sounded heavy. It lasted for what felt like hours until it finally stopped. We got barely any sleep, and next morning, my younger sister claimed that she saw a man dog outside her window. This all took place a couple of years ago, so I might be wrong in some of the details, but that's what I remember. That's kind of scary. Not gonna lie, that was written by Material Yogurt 208. Okay, those were true scary stories. Let me try to find like some scary stories. Now these are supposed her father's name, calling me by her brother's, and vice versa. That kind of thing, you know. When she started wandering around the night, though, that's when I knew it was time to confront the inevitable. It was strange, though. Her wandering didn't really feel like wandering. She was deliberately going to one specific location, the exact location where it happened. I find her in her shed, staring down at the exact spot where the man had bled out, completely expressionless. I'd expect that even in her state, she'd feel at least something, any sort of emotion or whatsoever. But unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. Maybe she didn't need to feel anything. Maybe all she truly felt was drawn to a specific location where she knew something significant had happened. That thought process changed after about the fifth time, however. I could see it in her face. She knew that she had been violated. She knew that the violator faced no real justice for his crimes. By the way she was looking at me, she knew that I wasn't going to stand around and let that just happen. When she spoke his name, I didn't know if she was remembering what she had forgotten or if she was addressing me personally. All I knew was that she said it with such clarity that for a split second it sounded like she had been healed. From that moment on, every doctor's visit had me holding my breath with uncertainty. If she went off on a ramble about that night, I could hold her hand, shed some tears, and act like I was losing my sweet girl. But a separate part of me had a different way of thinking. I didn't know what I had wanted. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know if I wanted to live with the weight of what I had done anymore. I guess that's why I'm writing this now. I know that I don't feel bad for what I did. How could I? Mimi was an angel. A light in a world full of darkness and hatred. And that man had taken away a part of that light, changed her in a way that she never fully recovered from. Even still, a life is a life, and I had taken one. I had acted as judge, jury, and executioner all while my wife watched. It would help her move on, she told me. I need to see it. She never moved on. Even now, even when she drifts away, there is still a part of her that knows. And maybe this wouldn't be so difficult if she didn't continue calling me by his name, reminding me every day of the person I've been trying to forget for nearly 50 years now. Maybe this is all a sign for me to finally air out dirty laundry. I suppose every tongue shall confess, the Bible says, and I think that's what I'm doing now. I think that was a really solid, good story. Okay. What's this? Did I say that? Who wrote that one? Donovan221. I don't know if this is a made-up story or if someone just wrote this here, but it's like the title is "This Just Happened Right Now." It's 3:13 a.m. So I don't fucking know if I'm tripping or what, but I just saw a white figure in my staircase and it ran as soon as I looked at that place. I genuinely saw it. I swear. I genuinely saw it. I swear. What the fuck? What could it be? I was listening to songs on my headphones as my eyes randomly saw that place. Please tell me anything to keep my house and me safe from such things. I'm not sure if it's just someone freaking out because that was like literally posted 5 minutes ago. Should I tell a sort of creepy story that happened to me? Well, like it's not really a creepy story. It could have been a sleep paralysis thing, but I wasn't really paralyzed. I was a kid, and I saw a woman standing on my doorway. and she was like on her tippy toes looking around my room like searching for something. And like it was like 2 a.m. and like I clearly saw her, like I was focusing my eyes on her to like make sure that I was seeing correctly. And she didn't make eye contact with me. And yeah, I turned around in my bed, closed my eyes for a couple of minutes or like a minute or something, turned around, and she was gone. I remember that she looked very much like a woman that I had seen the day before somewhere when I was out with my mom. She had like a bob hair, really like true bob. That was like she was ginger, and she was also wearing green. So she was very memorable, but she was taller. She was really short in real life, but she was taller when she was standing on my doorway. That's something that has happened to me. Besides that, I don't think I've had any paranormal experiences. Okay, let's read this one. It's also from Donovan221. I think my son is a serial killer, is the title. I tried my best. I really fucking tried. I didn't want parenthood, but when it's given to you, hell, it's hard to not fall in love with it. It has its ups and downs, sure, but through it all, you learn to love your child. They're an extension of you. Sorry, I just became a bit closer. A part of yourself that you can try and mold into an even better version. Unfortunately, people aren't as clean cut as that. You don't just zig and they zag. It's just how life is. Beyond the disagreements and head bumping, it's still possible to raise a kid. Bring them up right in the world. That's what I thought I was doing. My son was well-mannered, a gentleman, and God did he on his way with the ladies. Once high school started, it seemed like every other week he was telling me all about his new love, or how he was sure this was the one. He was only 15, but who was I to cast doubt on whatever love life he found for himself? Plus, it all stayed at school, having those cafeteria dates and what have you. However, by 17, he was actually bringing girls over to meet us, having dinner with his mom and I. And now, I'm not the best with names, but I do remember faces quite well. That's why when I started noticing the missing person flyers, I was quick to cock an eyebrow. But this is my son we're talking about, the boy who I'd raised since I was a child myself. I was 16 when he was born. I worked my ass off for him. We grew up together. I couldn't convince myself that everything was peachy forever, though. And by the time I saw Miranda's name on one of those flyers, the most recent girl he had brought home, I knew that I had to talk to him. I needed to set things straight, give some relief to my suspicion. I begged God, prayed like a madman that I was wrong. But the more I thought, the more I started connecting dots. I had never had one of these girls visit more than once or twice. I'd already caught my son sneaking out at night on multiple occasions. He seemed to always have those hollow eyes whenever he interacted with any of them. When he talked about them, though, it was different. It was like he was truly excited, but not in that normal teenage boy kind of way. It was like he talked to me about them. He was fantasizing, thinking about what he wanted to do to them. When I finally got home after a long day at the office, I practically sprinted up the stairs to my son's room to inquire. To my disappointment, the room was empty, and my just the flyers by themselves had been able to explain it away, but maybe, maybe he was just helping to hang them up. Maybe he had just run out to finish and had forgotten to grab them. No, life can never be that easy. What made me realize that I needed to do more than just talk to my son was what had been written on the flyers, scrawled across each flyer in the handwriting that I helped my boy practice with or complaints. Too loud, too demanding, too arrogant, too annoying. I sifted through the papers, and by the end of it I read a total of 7 complaints. A tear fell down my face, streaming down the cheek, dipping into my newly discovered smile. I must have been in a trance because I didn't even hear the bedroom door open. All I remember is the faint, quiet dad before I turned to greet my son. Emotion overwhelmed me, and all I could think to say as I outstretched my arms for a hug was, "That's my boy." Couldn't tell if the dad was actually fine with the killing, or if he was just trying to not get himself in the same situation as the ex-girlfriends. Anyway, that was again by Donovan 221. Okay, next one. My nose is really running and I was about to sneeze earlier, but I could fight it off. I really don't want to edit this video. Also, sorry that I'm not looking at the camera directly, I'm looking at my OBS. But yeah. The title of this one is "My son is about to go to sleep for the last time. Please tell me I did the right thing." I have a confession, and it's kind of embarrassing. Lately I've been forgetting. It started with small things. I forget where things were, which could be explained. My bag, my keys, my phone. I figured it was stress. As a mother of 8 kids, I'm in a constant state of thinking of others, not myself. Then it became too noticeable to ignore. Forgetting mundane things turned into misremembering my children's names. I started mixing up my teenage sons. I would call my daughter by a completely different name, and the worst part was having to wear a smile and pretend I was joking for their sake, pretending I was lying. I wasn't their strong mama who could never get sick. I was super mom. The mask I wore, what every mother wears, we wear it to protect our kids. The unspoken promise we never speak of when we give birth, to give ourselves to our children, our blood and breath and bones. If I wasn't super mom, my kids would get scared. My kids would lose hope. My kids would fear I'd leave them alone in the world, no matter what. No matter what. I had to. I'm a mom. I tell myself, I'm their mom. I'm super mom. Then I started blacking out. Sorry. What really scared me, I'd be cooking dinner or vacuuming the downstairs hallway, and then I'd find myself upstairs or halfway through a conversation I didn't remember starting. Foggy thoughts bleeding away in a hollow vacancy, like half of me had been scooped out. Sorry, sweetie, I told my 16-year-old son, who I snapped at for no reason. All he did was smile at me, and it's like something in me snapped, unraveling. It felt wrong. It felt wrong. I felt wrong. Like a stranger had taken over my body. I'm not feeling good, was my go-to excuse. It was better than the truth. Better than, I think I'm getting dementia. Or worse, I think I have a brain tumor. My kids noticed. It started slowly, like a tumor, but obvious enough to stick out size wouldn't meet mine. Mom said again. I said, that's enough milk. I didn't realize I was still pouring milk into a cereal bowl. Choco flakes spilling over the rim. My hand jerked and I placed the pitcher down. Instead of explaining, I grabbed a cloth soaking up all the spilled milk. My 8 children sat around our large dining table. 8 pairs of wide eyes, and I could barely piece together their names. I tried to smile, tried to pretend I was acutely aware my nose was bleeding. Mommy, Anastasia stirred her cereal. She leaned over the table to talk to one of her sisters and suddenly twisted in my gut. No, and something twisted in my gut. They were fucking talking about me again. Hey, I snapped, unable to control myself. Eat your breakfast and keep your mouth shut, alright? I slammed my fist down, heat rising in my cheeks. Stop fucking talking about me. I can hear you talking about me. I clamped my mouth shut, tears stinging my eyes. I immediately regretted my soulless words. I'm sorry, I whispered. Mommy's just tired, alright? More blood ran thick from my nose. I sniffed, swiping at my face. I took 2 steps towards the door, but my legs were aching. My body was suddenly wrong, heavy. I just needed to go and lie down. Words were suddenly so hard, harder than breathing, and breathing was like sucking in poison. I noticed the silence, the lack of movement. All 8 of my children weren't reacting. Mom, Adam's face blurred in front of me. He reached out, and I thought he was going to feel my temperature, but his fingers tiptoed across my scalp, creeping down my neck. Mom, his voice was low. His voice was a low murmur. Can you tell me what my name is? I nodded dizzily, a blur of red escaping my lips. Ace, I whispered, reaching to stroke through his hair. You're my son. He nodded, tears welling in his eyes. It's okay, Mom, he said softly. You're going to be okay. I reached out to hug him, to hold my son to my chest, but I wasn't expecting my arms to fall off. I thought I dropped something. Maybe I forgot I was holding it, but no. My right arm dropped to the floor with a sickening thud. Ace, I blinked and something dislodged. My eye popped out of my skull, hitting the floor and rolled under the table. I expected my son to start screaming, crying. I was falling apart. But my son just frowned at me, eyebrows furrowed. He prodded my face. Maybe the new arms were a bad idea. Ace turned to the others, his fingers gripping my chin and forcing me to look at him. Through one eye, my son's expression was scrutinizing. Whose fucking suggestion was it to add the arms? Hers were fine. I mean, we found her in a garbage disposal. Zach, my other son, spoke up. She needed new arms. How else was she going to make up breakfast and clean up? With a hiss, Ace turned back at me. Sorry, Mom. He smiled widely. Give me a sec, alright? I blacked out again. This time, it was a deep darkness. I opened my eyes to a low humming sound. I was in bed, my body uncomfortably hooked up to a machine sitting by my bedside. Ace sat cross-legged on the bed, a laptop on his knees. I was 8 when my parents died, he muttered, eyes glued to the screen. They called me a genius. I was supposed to start college at the age of 9. He slammed the spacebar. But then the world ended. Looked up. My parents were dead. Fucking bird flu decimated half of the population, and the rest lost their minds. Everyone was dead, and for a long time, we lost ourselves. We did so much fucked up shit to survive. I slowly put the laptop down, and my blurry vision caught a second figure lying next to me. A man, was made up, stitched like a doll. Different shades and skin tones replacing his arms and legs, but then we found you. He spoke up, and I turned to see a smile. A woman. Dad, obviously, smirked. Someone dumped your body in a trash can. I realized I wanted a mom. That's what we needed, all of us, to stop killing each other and losing our humanity to survive. He stood up, walked over to me, and pulled a needle from my arm. You didn't have a head. Someone cut it off, probably to eat you. No offense, but no adults mean no. But no adults means no food, and no food means. He shook his head. Anyway, I gave you a new one. The rest of you were pretty intact, so I collected some old bodies, waved my magic wand, and bam, we finally got a mother. His smile curled at the edges. Anastasia was just a baby when we found her. She cried for her mommy, and it drove me fucking insane that I couldn't give her what she wanted. I couldn't make her happy. I was just a kid, and I wanted my own mom. But this group of kids saw me as a leader, as like a father figure. He gestured to the man next to me, tapping his laptop keys. The man's body jerked violently, his eyes flickering. So I got them one. He grinned. He's a work in progress. No sign of life yet. We pulled him out of a lake. I still need to download something, so he's basically a shell. But don't you think he looks like a dad? It helped me sit up. Your memory lapses were due to your consciousness awakening, but it's okay, Mom. I took it all away. I nodded and let him take me downstairs. I greeted my children and resumed making their breakfast. Mommy, Anastasia sang from the table. Are you feeling better? I grabbed a bowl and filled it with her favorite cereal. Of course, honey, I said. Mommy's never felt better. How many fucking people was I wearing? Whose head was stitched onto my flesh? Who was I before I was a mom? Yay, Anastasia giggled. I doused my children's cereal with a plant killer. Good morning, my little rascals. I rose. Standing in the doorway was the man who'd been hooked up to the machine. Dad. He strutted wearing a confident grin, half of his brains hanging out. My children reacted immediately, running over to hugging Daddy. He hugged each of them, laughing, before coming over to me. Dad took my bowl of plant killer choco flakes and dumped it in the sink. He stammered over his words, his body jerking. Let's give them something they'll really enjoy. He showed me a wide grin, handing me a small pill bottle. I took it, squeezing it in my fist. Dad winked, maintaining his grin, but his eyes were screaming. He grasped my hand so tight I actually felt real pain. Right, darling? I smiled, entangling my mismatched hand with his. Right. Then make us breakfast, he's ordered. Cereal and toast, please. You know I like the corners cut. I got to work. Dad made the toast and I poured 8 bowls of cereal, my breath shuddering as I pulled off the cup of the bottle, snapped a capsule, and sprinkled it in each one. It'll be painless. Dad's voice was a low murmur. Don't worry, they'll just go to sleep. Dad never let go of my hand, squeezing until I found my breath, stolen breath from stolen lungs that weren't mine. I wondered what his name was, wondering about his life before he became their father. Once breakfast was finished, I served my children with a wide smile. Dad joined me, still squeezing my hand, as they dug in. He shot me a grin through a mouthful of chocolate flakes. Love you, Mom, he said. You're the best. I did not expect that story to take that turn. But I guess, yeah, it was good. What was the author of it? Trash_Tia. years ago. Back then, I used to go to my physics tuition alone. The tuition was pretty far from my house, so it took me around 30 minutes to go and come back. That day, it had been drizzling since morning. I don't know why, but the whole atmosphere felt strangely creepy from the beginning. Anyway, I left home around 6:30 a.m. for tuition. The class ended around 9 a.m. and when I came outside, it was still raining lightly. So I started walking back home. To be honest, my mood already felt weird that day for no reason. While walking, I kept looking around, but I barely saw any familiar faces. Everything felt oddly unfamiliar, even though it was my usual route. Eventually, I entered my locality. It was still raining. Then suddenly, when I looked to my right, I saw a man standing in front of a fish stall with his back turned toward me. He looked exactly like an uncle who lived a few houses away from ours. I thought maybe he was buying fish, and honestly, I remember thinking to myself, finally, I saw someone familiar. Then I continued walking and went home. While entering the house, I noticed a small crowd gathered across the road, talking about something. I didn't think much of it. I kept my back down, washed up, and sat to relax. A few minutes later, my mother came and said, "Did you know that Uncle died last night?" The moment she said that, I literally froze, because barely 5 minutes earlier, I had seen him standing at that fish stall. So if he died the previous night, then who did I see? Even today, I don't have an explanation. Maybe the person standing there only looked similar to him from behind. But still, it never felt like a random mistake to me. The weirdest part is that the moment I saw that person, that uncle instantly came to my mind. Then just minutes later, I heard he had died the night before. Feels like a little too much of a coincidence, doesn't it? I wasn't extremely close to him or anything. We just had normal neighborhood conversations sometimes, but I knew his wife pretty well. Whenever we met on the road, she would always stop and talk to me. To this day, I still can't explain what happened that morning. It was just my eyes playing tricks on me, or maybe it was something else. Has anything like this ever happened to you guys? I guess that was a real story that was written by Otaku Anik. Anyway. Yeah, that's the last story that I'm gonna read in this video. Hopefully, you liked this video. If you want similar videos like this, I can definitely make them. Like more in the dark, just reading scary stories. I could make this into a series if you guys want to. Probably not with cloud makeup every single time because it takes a while to do. But anyway, I'm gonna go to sleep. And I hope that this video was able to help you guys sleep. Even though there were scary stories in this. But I would guess that if you clicked on this video based off the title, then you don't mind it. So, anyway, I hope that you have the best